Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Did Jody show you these scans before?
One time I did see them, yes.
Let me show them to you again, because basically I reviewed your chart with Jody. You have no allergies.
Right.
You've got a not a very straight septum, which is the partition that divides your nose in half. And also you have sinuses that have a lot of disease in there.
Yeah.
How often has this been problematic for you?
The most problems have been the last 3 years. I've had issues with sinus infections since I was a kid.
How many times a year?
More than I can count. Normally I just get sent home saying it's probably a virus and allergies. So I gave up a little bit and I advocated again, and not just beginning of this year is when I really started to get treated with prednisone for the sinus infections.
You be careful with how much prednisone and how many courses you're on, because that can have some long-term effects too. Let me show you your films.
Yeah.
They're nice and impressive. This septum here is not straight. It gets worse as you go posteriorly. Sinuses, when they're normal, are supposed to be aerated. Frontals are up here, although you don't have any. 5% of people don't, so it's no big deal. Frankly, sinuses develop as we're a child, as we're breathing, and air gets into the bones as the maxilla and the ethmoids and the sphenoid bones are developing, and they leave pockets in there called the sinuses. They're supposed to be black. When they're opacified, when they are gray, when you look at that x-ray and you don't see black air in there, that tells you disease is present in there. And this is not your typical polyps that you would see, and that's why one of the reasons I don't want to go hog wild with all this prednisone stuff, because that will alleviate. It is anti-inflammatory, but it has some long-term effects, particularly in women in terms of osteoporosis, which tends to be problematic as you get older anyway. Not at your age, but still. Man, there's some studies out there that have shown that even one dose can adversely affect somebody down the road. And that's why we use it, but you use it judiciously. Septum is perfect. It should be straightened. You see the gray up in here. Gray there is indicative of infection. You see how it gets even more gray in your ethmoids. And this is literally between your eyes right here. And you've got it over here, the osteometal complex, which is the area where the maxillary sinus, which is the maxillary sinus here and here, is supposed to drain into the nose. Well, those channels are blocked. You got a big augmenase cell, which is basically part of your ethmoid complex, which is right under your eye. That is.
I get very severe ocular migraines.
Do you really?
That happen several times a week at this point. I lose my vision for up to an hour. Not as much pain, but very bothersome.
You lose your vision?
Yes, sir.
These, honey, that's in your maxillary sinuses here, your ethmoid sinuses, and all the way back to your sphenoid, which is right in here, 4.5 inches in your skull. You can actually see air bubbles in here, which is pus. Of course, that was back in April. And then you can see this little long crooked side here. That needs to be straightened up.
Every time I get sick, it's an absolute nightmare now.
Yeah. Look at this. Look how much disease. See all this stuff here? It's supposed to be black.
Oh, wow.
All of this is supposed to be black, but this needs to be cleaned out. One, I would straighten up the partition, open these areas up so that the maxillary sinus and the ethmoid sinus has been drained. Get this junk out of here. I'm gonna go all the way down in this one. That's cool. I've done over 2,000 of these operations. Way over 2,000 of them. I've never seen a bullet that big, down into the maxillary sinus that's actually part of your ethmoids. But I'm going to open that baby up. That's good.
I'm excited.
Well, I'm
I'm
going to get you
excited.
feeling better. This is a lot of disease and it's been going on too long.
Very long.
And I
time.
wonder whether or not it triggers some of these ocular migraines you've been getting too.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, particularly, is it one side or the other or both sides?
It's both sides.
Yeah, that's probably...
It starts to come on with a spotty vision, and it kaleidoscopes until it's almost non-existent. And then after about 40 minutes, about 40 minutes, at the end I'll get my vision back and I'll feel very tired.
See, you've got a lot of stuff very close to the proximity of your eyeballs, so it wouldn't surprise me. Well, we'll find out. But at the very least, what I'm going to do is optimize your ability to breathe and get the sinuses working more effectively, so that we're addressing the disease that's currently there, and the next time you come down with a sinus infection, we all do it at one time or another, that you can drain it more effectively and it's not in there for months. Now, how is that done? One, it's a same-day surgery. Two, I've never had a major complication, 0, okay, and that's out of several thousand. We use basically it's a computerized program, in addition to looking through telescopes, so that I can look up there and actually visualize it. At the same time, at the head of the table, I've got the straight-on view that I showed you, the horizontal view, and then a reconstructed sagittal view, so I can see in 3 dimensions within 1 millimeter in real time, where am I?
Wow.
In other words, it improves the efficacy of it improves the safety of it. Are there black and blue? No. Do I make external incisions? No. You've got to have some time down from work, Judy.
Yes.
You can't jump right back into it. I would take 2 weeks off. You're not going to feel terrible during that 2 weeks, but I just don't want you working. I want you to relax. I want you to pamper yourself. The first week you're going to have 2 plastic splits inside your nose. They're temporary. I don't use packing like I used to 40 years ago, okay? But by the same token, you got to use common sense. I don't want you picking up heavy things. That includes kids.
Okay.
I don't want you doing real strenuous work that could increase blood pressure and potentially cause a bleed. Because you have to go in the emergency room for a nosebleed to have packing in there. You'll hate it, and it'll screw up my work big time.
Okay.
So it's like I said, you're not bedridden, you can get up, you can do all kinds of things, just don't overdo it, all right? You'll use a lot of saline spray, you'll use some antibiotic steroid ointments that we'll talk more about that, but basically to facilitate keeping it nice and clean, to facilitate the healing process. Once those splints come out, we're going to put you on what's called a hydropulse, which is a irrigating, lavaging type of system, into which we put some steroids, we put some antibiotics to help the healing process, to cause it to re-epithelialize and not to scar up, so this stays open the way I intend to finish it up. But you need to have a couple weeks off from work. It's done under general anesthesia. You're totally asleep. Takes me about 2 hours, and as I say, it's all intranasal. The only suture that has to be cut is the one that holds the splints in there. That will be done by Jody, my physician's assistant, about a week after surgery. It'll be done here in the office. You'll go home generally after surgery by about a couple hours, something like that. And hope you're feeling better.
Thank you.
When do you want to have something done?
Sooner than later, I think.
Let me give you an idea as to what my schedule looks like. We've got some openings left in July. Not a lot. 6, I could still do you like the 15th of July,
Sure.
which is Friday.
Great.
Would that be good for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I really gave up on advocating for, every time I got sick, it was hard to explain what exactly I was feeling, but the sinuses were really doing a number on me every time I get sick.
Well, they look it.
Yeah.